everyone, and in today's video we're doing another mastery operator guide. I did one on Fuse a couple months ago. I enjoyed making that one because I like Fuse. He's kind of underrated, but we're not here to talk about Fuse, we're here to talk about Oryx. Oryx is a very hard operator to play at a high level anyway. 2 difficulty, 2 speed, 2 armor. Uh, he can dash through walls, he can dash fast, and he can knock people down. That's a very brief description. But before we go into that, I want to go over his loadout for a second. So T5 SMG, um, I would say it's slightly above average in terms of defender weapons, high fire rate. It is an SMG, so 28 damage might be a little bit on the higher side in terms of an SMG, but it is a very good SMG. No recoil, pretty much for the most part. Good fire rate, decent damage, 30 round mag. It's a good gun. It's definitely worth using, and the Dark Zero skin. I mean, come on, look at that shit. That shit is clean as hell. And then the bailiff, you want to run the bailiff and the T5 together so you can use the bailiff to open hatches to climb up. Um, that's usually what I use it for. And sometimes it does kind of help as just a regular ass secondary weapon that you can use to shoot people. It's very weak though. Keep that in mind. It's not a very good killing weapon, but it is pretty good for opening hatches for the most part anyway. The shotgun, the SPAS 12. Um, this is an okay shotgun. It's not fantastic. It's not bad either. It's just kind of average, and there's nothing that it really excels at. It shoots pretty fast, I guess I'll say. 35 damage. I don't really know how damage works on shotguns, but it's an okay damage. You can one-shot people with it. You know, it's a shotgun. It works just as good as any other shotgun in the game for the most part, anyway. USP, I use the USP with the SPAS for the range. I mean, because with this, you're not gonna really be having a lot of range. So I run the USP just for that little bit of extra range. And the USP is actually not that bad of a pistol. 48 damage, 12 round mag, and no recoil. I mean, it's a pistol. So it's actually not too bad. You can kind of use it for longer ranges if you chose. Um, and then proximity alarms. I pretty much always use proximity alarms, but you can use barbed wire if you're a barbed wire person. You do you. Proximity alarm and barbed wire is kind of just your choice. It's whatever you prefer, really. Um, so then now we're going to kind of go into the gadget, which is the most complicated part of this operator. So in the example you're about to see, I'm going to be using the SPAS 12 just to make opening hatches a little easier, but usually bring the T5 because it is overall just a better gun. However, the SPAS 12 does have its moments, and if you just prefer the the closer gunfights, then bring the shotgun, man. You do you. But we're gonna go and get into the gadget now. So the reason Oryx is actually a very pretty powerful operator in my eyes anyway, is how hard he is to actually kind of track down sometimes. For example, Vigil. Vigil is like a top tier roamer. He's very good because you never really know where he is.
10 seconds remaining.
Oryx can kind of do the same thing in his own way.
5 seconds.
So say you get droned out as Oryx, it's very easy for
Keep an eye
Oryx
out for
to
Op 4 attempting to
move
defuse your bombs.
from point A to point B insanely fast. And because of that, it's very hard for people to keep constant, accurate information on Oryx's location. So what I mean by this is, say I'm getting droned out, there's a drone right there. It's very easy for Oryx to dash, climb, boom. I'm 2 floors above to where they last saw me. Because of that, I can go for very wide and fast flanks. Because of that, people have to always watch their back. This wastes a lot of time. And it's very hard for attackers to roam clear Oryx and secure the kill on him, which is why I actually like playing him a lot. I want to talk about the actual dash itself now. So as a quick example, every time you dash through a wall, you lose 5 health. As you can see, I lost 5 health. So also keep in mind when you dash, there's a slight delay after the dash to bring your gun back out. So after you finish the dash, it takes a second for Oryx to get his gun out. Watch. It took a second. And that can punish you a lot of the times. If you get a little too smash happy, then that delay will definitely screw you over. But I want to talk about very quick flanks and the more risky maneuvers you can do with this character. So, for example, say there's a dude right here, right on that ping. You can do really crazy and fast flanks. For example, this is a situation where you actually might want to have the shotgun. So, plow through the wall. That's pretty cool, right? Or you can do this. I've literally done this in games before, using this exact same route. There's a dude right there. I dash through the wall, and then I dash through this wall, and then I'm behind him. I've literally done that exact same thing in ranked games. I'm usually a Plat 2, Plat 1 player, and it's worked before. It's very risky, but when it works beautifully. He is a very good operator for these very quick maneuvers, quick flanks. Um, and it's very good. It's very hard to track orcs down, and you want to make sure that you keep it that way the whole entire round. All right, so something I actually want to talk about now is the proximity alarm and overall just a little more running around tips. You'll see when we get to it. But first things first, proximity alarm. Proximity alarm really helps orcs on the roam because it's sometimes it's very easy for a nook to sneak up on some like an oryx when he's roaming or like a crouch walking ash to sneak up behind him
10
or something
seconds
like
to
that, right?
insertion.
It's pretty easy for that to happen sometimes. So um,
5 seconds and counting.
something I do sometimes. I don't do this all the time, but you get a
Keep an eye out for
shotgun,
Op 4 attempting to defuse your bomb.
shoot a hole from a distance so it doesn't destroy the second layer. Put a proximity alarm right there. And the reason this is actually good is because it's there's a hole in the ground. The only way the proximity alarm will go off is if someone steps right over it. Someone's right above it. And if you hear that proximity alarm go off, that means someone is right above it, meaning you know exactly where they are, and you can shoot through a wall or something to kill them. That's really just an overall tip, maybe not just for Oryx, but for anyone. Another thing I want to talk about is when you're playing Oryx, it's pretty much impossible for you to be stuck somewhere. Um, say you're on the roam and you get stuck in a room, and I don't know, say you're playing Vigil or Cav, right? You get stuck in this room that I'm in right now, and you don't really have any more impact grenades. If you're Cav, you can shoot the hatch, but if you're Vigil, you're kind of just stuck. You don't have impacts to destroy the wall, get the hatch, or whatever. With Oryx, he just doesn't have that issue. He always either has the Spas 12 or the Bailiff to one destroy hatches or just run through a wall. It's very hard to just be in a situation where you really just can't go anywhere with this operator. You always kind of have constant options and things going through your head, which is why I really like it. It's super cool. Something else I want to go over is really the main reason people actually use Oryx in general, and that's uh, to counter shields. So you can use Oryx to counter a Monty, a Blitz, or even a Fuse shield if someone's crazy enough to run that. I don't really run it all that often, but some people do. Do your thing. Um, the reason I say this is because if you dash in, not just a shield character, but anyone, if you dash into any enemy operator in the game, they will fall over and fall. They'll fall to the ground and lay on their back for a second or two, right? And if you do that to a fully extended Monty, he's super exposed, and it leads to a very easy kill for you to kill the Monty or the Blitz or whoever. Usually, I wouldn't recommend dashing into operators. It usually doesn't actually work on normal people, but on like a Monty or a Blitz, it's very easy to dash them. But on usual operators, it doesn't work all that often because sometimes it will lead to you getting killed. So if you want to
15
dash a
seconds.
normal operator, you can do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. So something I want to go into now is the negatives of Oryx. This is why people don't run Oryx. People don't run Oryx usually is because he has one big problem, and that is reliability. Oryx does not have a lot of reliability. For example, he's very high risk, high reward. You can run him technically every round if you wanted, and I guess you wouldn't be throwing games if it depends on who you ask, I guess. But
Down to
um,
10 seconds.
no matter what, I guess he does have a little bit of team
5 seconds.
play. I mean, he can make rotate holes in sight.
Increased surveillance on bombs. Op 4 has a diffuser.
People always do that, and we didn't even have to waste a nitro cell, waste any ammo on like a smoke shotgun or anything like that. We didn't have to waste an impact, nothing. So I mean, there's that. But he doesn't have a lot of team play, and there, if you play Oryx, it isn't 100% of the time that you'll be able to have the perfect roaming round. What I mean by that is like, you vaulting up a hatch and you don't get shot while going up, or you don't get caught while you're in mid animation when you're dashing. He's a very strong roaming operator. However, it's pretty high risk. If you bring him and don't do anything with him, you are kind of a nuisance to the team sometimes. So keep that in mind. If you play him, you have to be careful, but also make sure you're constantly moving around the map. Don't stay in one place for too long, and have fun. That's what you got to do with Oryx. So yeah, I'm trying to think of. So Oryx is also pretty map dependent. For example, I'm trying to think of it. Okay, so uh, skyscraper maybe. Skyscraper doesn't really have a lot of hatches for Oryx to vault up. There's a couple. There's one in executive, which is one of the sites, meaning it's pretty dangerous to vault up. Um, and there's like one or two more on the whole entire map, meaning that a lot of his gadget actually won't be utilized during certain rounds. So do keep that in mind when you're playing this operator. Um, and that is pretty much going to cap off this video. Um, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I went over weapons. I went over some pretty basic strategies. And I mean, he's very hard. And the thing is, it's hard to teach people how to play Oryx because so much of it is just your own mind being creative. That's what you have to do to be successful with this operator. Make sure to branch out and try different things, try different routes, run through different walls, go through different hatches that you don't usually do. Be creative, try different stuff. That is how you win with the operator. Um, so yeah, make sure to have fun and above
Down to
all,
15 seconds.
just make sure to stay roaming the whole time.
Time
Make sure you're
expires in
moving.
10 seconds.
The only time that I would recommend leaving the roam is if you need to go
5
to
seconds remaining.
site to help with like a Monty maybe. But other than that, that's really it. If you guys did enjoy the
Time
video,
limit reached.
like, comment, sub. See you guys next one. Remember, my friends, stay awesome.